Now it's being recorded.
Okay.
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 And so first we'll go with retrieving data from the database with a select statement.
Okay.
Share the screen with you. So I asked file to send a script to you.
Yeah, I've got the script.
Okay. So I'll just quickly go through it. Just a second. So these are the tables we have in the script. The first one is customer, and these are the fields. Then we have product.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Then we have product, and then sales, then sales history, sales person. Okay. And then I've inserted few values into all the tables.
Okay.
Okay. So now we'll see how do we insert anything. Sorry, retrieve data from a database using the select statement. Before we proceed with that, okay, let's finish this first and then I'll come back. Okay, so let me declare okay, so declare these three variables here.
Okay.
Now I'll write the select statement. All the SQL queries will come inside the begin block.
Okay.
So this is my customer table. I am fetching few data from the customer. So what I'm doing here is these are the fields that I have declared. So I have ID, name, and address. In this table, I have customer ID, first name, and then I have address. I'll use country as address for now. So let's first name. There's a keyword called into here. Now this is not there in SQL, so this is kind of new. Into we use to store data in the variables that we've declared now. We fetch data, these data are present in the table. Now here we are fetching the data from the table from these columns, and we want to store that into the variables that we have declared.
Okay.
Correct?
Right.
So now we write into and then the variables that we have declared. Here also we have to make sure that since we have mentioned first name first, we have to mention C name here. This will correspond to this, and this will correspond to whatever I write after this. So the sequence is very important here.
Okay.
From the table name, let me see the table name, whether it is capital. Okay, I have given this PID as 10 here. So I'm saying whatever value 10 holds, I want that. Wait, let me just. Okay. So see, this is the values that my table has. Okay. So I'm saying
Yeah.
customer ID 10. So it should display John and USA.
Okay.
Okay. So let me run this. Oh, sorry, I haven't given me output statement. I've just given the select. Now I have to display it. So I have. I told you yesterday that this is used for displaying dbms underscore output dot put underscore 9.
Okay.
And this is used for concatenation. See, in the output, name John and country USA has been displayed.
Okay.
So what happened here was I declared few variables here. I declared a CID. This, I mentioned C because I wanted it to be constant. So I gave it a value of 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Then in my begin block, I wrote my query in which I did select first name and country into these variables from customer table wherever the customer ID is same as CID, which is 10. So
Yeah.
wherever the customer ID is 10, that first name and country should be copied into C name and C address respectively.
Yes.
And then I displayed the variables.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is how you
Right.
retrieve something from the database using the select command.
Okay.
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 So this is the syntax. Remember it. First is the select, then the list of the columns that you have to select, then the keyword into, then the variable, then from table, and then the where clause or the condition.
Yeah.
Okay.
So can I make a note of this?
Yes, yes, please
Just a
do.
minute.
Yeah, please
Yeah. Yes. I'm done.
Okay. So this is how to retrieve. Now, see here I gave the data types myself.
Yes.
I chose a data considering that name and address would be a varchar. But what if it is not? Can you just give me a minute?
Yeah.
Hello? Hello? Hi, Usha. I'm in the middle of a session. I'll call you back later. कुछ urgent है? तुम आ गए हो? हाँ तो आ जाओ आ जाओ. हाँ हाँ आ जाओ आ जाओ आ जाओ. हाँ नहीं. हाँ. Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. So I assume that it would be this data type, but if it wouldn't have been, then it would have shown an error.
Yeah.
Okay. This is not a good practice to have whenever I am retrieving something from the table itself.
Okay.
Instead, what I should have done is, instead of this varchar, I should have had the number. Or instead of this ID as well, I should have had the data type of the column. So how
The
do I write?
percentage type.
Yes. So how do I write it? The table name dot
Dot. Column.
the column name percentage type.
Type.
Okay.
Yes.
Similarly, here as well, it should have been this column name first name. Correct?
Yeah.
Similarly for address also. Yeah. Again, if I run this, the output should be same. That
Yes.
should not change. See, it's the same thing. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a better practice to do because in this case, I am avoiding all the risks related to the data type mismatch.
Yeah.
Okay, so whenever there is a table and you have to fetch something, always remember that this is a better way to do it using the percentage type attribute. Okay?
Okay. So even if we give percentage type, since it is taking the columns data type from the database,
Yes.
we still have to give the same order in the select clause.
No, you're saying I write, if I write this after this, is this your question?
No. So
Okay.
the declaration can be in any way,
Yeah.
like for either one,
Yeah.
but the the columns name should be in the same order.
Yes, yes. You have to make sure
Yes,
that this first column will get into the first thing here after it too.
so that doesn't mean that whatever the declaration order.
No. Declaration will only make sure, the percentage type will only make sure that the data type of this variable and this column is same.
Okay.
But in the select statement, you have to make sure that this will correspond to the first name here. This will correspond to the second variable.
Okay. Got it.
So if I reverse the order here, if I like write C address here and then C name,
Mhm.
let me just show you that. Yeah. Now, see, now the name is USA and country is John.
Okay.
Because country got copied into C name and first name got copied into C address.
Okay.
Clear?
We are not getting error because the
Data
both
type
the
are same.
columns
You're not getting error only because the data type is same. Had it been something
data type.
different, Had it been something
Yeah.
different, it would have thrown me an error.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Done?
Yeah.
Okay. Yesterday, do you remember I told you there are few things which cannot be used in PLSQL which were used in SQL before.
Yes.
Yeah, so they were decode and the group functions, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the group functions cannot be used in PLSQL statements, but it can be used in the SQL statements.
Yes.
Okay, so let me give an example. Even in PLSQL block, it can be used, but only in SQL statements, not in my
Okay.
PLSQL statement.
Okay.
Okay, so let me just give you an example of that as well.
Mhm.
Let me see if there is any numbers present in here. List price. Yeah. So I'll do the sum of the list prices here. Okay. I'll use the sum function, which is a group
Mhm.
function, correct?
Yeah.
So I'll use that sum function and see how do we use group functions. Then I have to use it in a PLSQL block, but in the SQL statement.
Okay.
Let me change this and mark it as sum. Numbers. It's the ID. Okay, we'll do the sum of every list price which with the same product size. Okay.
Okay.
So, product size here. Again, I'm doing number here, but what I should have done is uh,
Yes.
product dot product size percentage type. Okay.
Yeah.
Now instead of this, I'll have select sum sum of list price. Okay. Into what?
Sum
Into
of
this
list price.
the sum. Is
Yeah.
storing the sum in my variable. Correct?
Yeah.
So it will be into v sum from product product. Yeah, this product. There product product ID is equal to my C size. Okay.
Okay.
Now instead of this sum is me blank.
It's to care Wilson can't be corrected.
Oh,
The output.
that is fine. Okay. If I even remove this, even when the sum is coming blank, I think I have written the column wrong. So what I'm saying is that the product, oh, sorry. This is not product ID, this is product size. So it was checking for product ID is equal to 6. Okay. So let me just product size and 0. Yeah, see, now the sum is there. Okay.
Yes.
So whenever you have to use the group function, this is how you will use. You cannot use it in any of the PL-SQL statement, but you can use it in SQL statement inside the PL-SQL block. Okay.
We don't have to use group by in this
No, if you want, you can use it in the SQL statement.
No, I mean to say, when we use any group functions in the select class, so we put group by also with the column in SQL generally.
There is no need. If you want to, I mean, if there is specifically a grouping by the list price or something, you can specify it. If not, even this will work fine.
No, but in SQL,
you have to specify group by.
Right. But here we don't have to do that.
No.
Okay. Okay.
So this is how you retrieve data in PLSQL.
Okay.
It's absolutely clear?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now we will go with manipulating data using SQL, using PLSQL. Manipulating in the sense we will be using DML statements, which are insert, update, delete. Okay.
Yeah.
So first we'll go with inserting data into database.
Okay.
Okay. Can I remove all this now?
Yeah, I've noted that.
Okay. First again, I'll have a declare block. In my declare block, I will mention all the variables that I have to insert. Okay. So I'll go with the customer table first. I'll insert the data in the customer table. Okay.
Okay.
The first is ID. So I have to enter some ID. Correct?
Yes.
Now here I use percentage size. Now I'll have to see which ID I can enter because that's the primary key. So I'll have to make sure that it's not already there. Otherwise, it won't insert.
Okay.
Correct?
Correct.
You only insert if it's unique, right? So I'll see it's 10, 11, 12. So I can insert 13 now.
Yeah.
Was my first name. Your name. Forgive me if the spelling is wrong.
You're right.
Do you have a
Solution.
oh yeah.
That is it.
Yeah. Do you have a middle name as well?
Shape.
Okay. Because there's a middle name column here. So I have a middle name.
It's
It's
actually
fine.
IK.
IK. Okay. I'm sorry.
It's actually
S I.
it's A-I-K.
Okay.
S-H-A-I-K. You don't have.
Okay. And then we have the address, city, country. Okay. Date added. Date added and region. Okay. So now I have all the data here. In the begin part, now I'll have to write the insert block.
Okay.
Correct? Because all the SQL statements will go inside the begin block.
Can you change the column name for the middle name?
Oh, I'm sorry, I did not. Oh, thank God you noticed. Otherwise, it would have thrown an error.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now we have the begin section. And begin, we write the SQL column. So it would be similar to what we write in SQL. Insert into the table name, and then all the column names. values. Correct? This is how we write it, right?
Yeah.
Here also I'll have to make sure that this corresponds to this. This is customer ID, so I have to write the ID first.
Yeah.
Okay? I'll have to make sure of that. Just cross-checking if you missed anything. Then I'll commit it. Okay, see, I've received the message here that is successfully inserted. Okay,
Okay.
now let's check our table. The name is there or not. Yeah, it's there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it has been successfully inserted.
Yes.
So have you copied it?
And just give me a minute.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
almost done.
No problem.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, done.
Yeah.
So this is how we insert. Any
Commit
questions?
should be there.
What? It's not a compulsion,
Commit.
but you know what the commit does, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so whenever you insert something, it's always a good habit to commit it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay? If I remove this, even then it will work, but you should always commit your DML statement.
Okay.
Okay? So insert is clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now we can go to update.
Okay.
See which table should I update? Um, price. Just this product table one. Okay, so let's update the list price. We'll increase the price by some number. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So we are updating, right?
Yeah.
Again, we will have a variable.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what should be the data type of it?
Number.
No, but then we are dealing with tables. So, what would be the better way to do it?
Percentage time.
Yeah. So, how do I write it now? This is of the table product.
Product. That.
Mm-hmm.
The column.
Column name is list price. Okay.
Percentage time.
Percentage. Correct. Okay.
Okay.
Now I want it to. I want to increase it by say 10. Let's note this down first. This is 35, 35. Okay, so it should be 45 by the end of it.
Okay.
Okay. Now, do you remember the update statement?
List. Update.
Hmm.
Product. Table name.
Yeah.
Set.
Huh?
Set.
Yeah. Set.
Set. Column name.
Hmm. We want to increase it, right? So, we this price plus, correct?
Okay. Yeah. View price increase.
Okay. What will happen if I don't give a where condition?
For all the records, the list price column will be increased by 10.
Yeah. So it's okay with us. So we skip where condition. If you want to specifically give something, we can give the where condition.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's have our output which is successfully updated. Let's run this. Say successfully updated. Okay. Now
Okay.
let's check our table. Yes, it has become 45. It has been successfully updated.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can note this down.
Yeah. I'm doing. Yes, ma'am. And that.
Okay. So this is how we update. Now we go into delete. Okay. So let's delete what we yeah. Tell me.
Here, since the code SQL statement is correct, the output as output line has successfully updated.
Yeah.
Let's say if there is a problem in the code.
Yeah. And, so yeah. I got your question. So when we execute the entire block, okay, there could be an error in some part of. Suppose your SQL query is not correct, but rest of the block is correct. Doesn't mean that it will always throw an error, and this won't be displayed.
Okay.
Okay. So some part of your execution can happen before. Suppose I write this before your update statement. It can execute this, and then there is a problem with SQL, so it won't update the table.
No, with this code, if there is any output line is in the end, we have the SQL code, and there is a problem in the SQL code. So what would be the error zone here?
Okay, let's see that. Suppose we forget set here. Okay. Yeah. Showing an error right now. But let's still go ahead and do this. It will tell you that the SQL statement was ignored. There is a missing set keyword. Okay. So if there is some syntax problem, it will tell you that there is a syntax problem. But if there is a logical problem, like suppose in this case we had a where condition, where we give the product ID something which is not present in the table, then it won't throw an error. It will display successfully updated, although the table might not have been updated.
Right.
Okay, so if there is a syntax error, it will tell you that there is some problem. If there is some logical error, then it won't give you an error. It will go ahead and execute it.
Okay, so we won't be able to find out the problem.
Yeah.
Clear. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's see the delete statement. So we'll delete what we inserted. We'll delete this row. Okay.
Yeah.
So the customer ID is 13. Okay. So I'll remove this. Okay. Now here I'll write the delete statement. What would that be? Delete from right? Where my customer ID customer ID is equal to my VC ID, correct? Correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So it says that it has been successfully deleted. Okay. Now let's check the table. Okay. It's no longer there. Okay. This is how we delete. Now you have to take care of few things while writing your DML statements in a PL-SQL block. Suppose yesterday also I mentioned this. What will happen if I give this variable name same as that of the column name in this particular example? What if this PCID was also customer ID?
Yes.
In that case, it would have deleted the entire, all the rows, not the table, but all the rows of the table.
Table records. Yeah.
Correct? That is why you have
Correct.
to be very careful about your naming convention of the variable. It should never be that same as that of the column name.
Oh.
Okay, it should always have your column name and your variable name should always be distinct.
Oh.
Okay.
So this will make the columns on the table.
So what?
No, I'm just thinking if that is the case, you said all the records will be deleted.
Yes. Because customer ID, it will check. No, in this case, I marked it as 13. What if I don't give anything?
Yes.
Suppose I give this.
Nothing, then all the records.
All the records. Yeah, if I mark 13, then okay.
Yeah.
But if I have not mentioned anything, it will delete everything.
Yes.
Now, another thing, what if this variable name is same as that of the table?
What is the variable name is of the table?
So you have to keep this in mind that all the variable names or the parameters I told you will come when we go into procedure and function.
Yeah.
But all the variables and the parameters take precedence over database table name. So, like in this case, if I have variable name same as that of the table column name I told you yesterday also, column name is given more precedence. Correct?
Column name should be?
If the variable name and column name are same,
Okay.
then column name is given more precedence or more priority.
Okay.
Okay? But
Yeah.
in case of table name, if table name and your variable name are same, then variable name is given more priority than your table name, than your table.
Okay.
Okay? If this VCID that I've written, if this is also named as customers, then delete from customers would become delete from this variable.
Very good. So it won't execute the SQL
Yes.
statement.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense, but that is what it will think. It won't go into the table name. It will consider this has to be the variable name.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, so these are the few things you have to take care of. Always remember, column name is given precedence over variable name, but variable name is given precedence when it comes to table name.
Statement.
You can note it down.
I'm doing it.
Let me know when you're done.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So now we'll go into cursors.
Okay.
Okay. So what happens? Oracle creates a memory area, which is known as a content area, where uh, like for processing of all the SQL statements, this area is created in the memory by Oracle. Okay. Now
Okay.
this area contains all the information needed for processing that statement.
Okay.
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 Now a pointer to that area is called the cursor.
Okay.
Okay. So first, what happens whenever we process an SQL statement, Oracle creates a memory area. That memory area will contain all the information needed for processing that statement. Okay. the pointer to that area is called a cursor. Now using this cursor, PLSQL controls that memory area. So
Okay.
if the
So
SQL is, tell me.
the area contains all these SQL statements details.
All the
Or
information, whether it's what rows are it's returning. Suppose it's a update statement, what all rows were updated. If it's a delete statement, then what rows were deleted, what columns were deleted, what extra information has been added, how many rows were returned. All these information is present in that area.
okay.
Okay,
Okay.
and that area is controlled by cursor.
Yes.
Okay, cursor is nothing but a pointer to that area.
Okay.
Somewhere you might find it written that cursor is nothing but that memory area. But it's not actually the memory area, it's a pointer to that memory area.
Pointed to the So I've written cursors as pointed to the area where Oracle creates for the statements. It's
Memory,
executable
no, no. Write it this way. Oracle creates a memory area for processing a SQL statement.
Oracle creates a area
Memory area for processing an SQL statement.
for processing the SQL statements.
Yes. Now this area contains all information needed for processing the statement.
This memory area contains all the information.
Contains all information needed for processing the statement.
Statements. This memory area contains all the information needed for processing the statement.
Yeah. Now a pointer to that area is called the cursor.
Done.
Done.
Okay. Done.
So even if a SQL statement returns one row or more than one row, all those will be held in this area.
Okay.
Okay. Now the set of rows that a cursor holds is called the active set.
Okay.
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 Done.
Yes, done.
Okay. So what actually happens is once we execute a query, everything is stored in a shared global area of the database. Once it
Yeah.
gets stored, a cursor object is created.
Okay.
Okay. We create a cursor variable which can directly access the result set or the whatever rows are inserted there, whatever result came out of the query.
Okay.
Okay. So now you can define a cursor variable to this query using which you can either fetch the data or process the data, update the data. So whatever operations you have to do, you can do it using this cursor.
Okay.
Okay. Now there are two
Okay.
types of cursors.
Okay.
Okay. One is implicit and the other one is explicit.
Implicit and explicit.
Yes.
Okay.
For now, we'll focus on implicit only. Explicit is an entirely different chapter, which we'll focus after a few more chapters.
Okay.
We focus on implicit right now.
Okay.
Okay. So what happens is, whenever Oracle processes a SQL statement,
Okay.
it will automatically create a cursor.
Okay.
Okay. Now we have already learned that all the information regarding the SQL statement will be stored in the area, memory area.
Yeah.
In order to reference that area, we define a cursor variable.
Okay.
Okay. So this is already created by the PLSQL or Oracle for that matter. We don't create it; it's all automatically created.
Okay.
Okay. Now this automatically created cursor is known as implicit cursor.
Okay.
Okay. You cannot control this implicit cursor using any of the PLSQL statements or programs.
Can you repeat this?
Yeah, I said you cannot control this implicit cursor using any of the SQL statements or programs.
Oh, okay. It cannot be controlled.
Yeah, it cannot be controlled.
Okay.
Okay, only the PLSQL engine can control it. It's not in the hands of users.
Okay.
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 So whenever a DML statement like insert, update, or delete is executed, an implicit cursor is automatically created and associated with the statement.
Yeah.
Okay. Like for an insert operation,
Mm-hmm.
the cursor holds the data that needs to be inserted.
Sorry.
For any insert operation, the cursor will hold the data that needs to be inserted. That will be present
Okay.
in the memory area. While you are updating and deleting, the cursor will hold the rows that would be affected, not the data. It will hold the rows that would be affected.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we can
That's for
yeah, tell me.
for updating.
Yeah, for updating.
Okay.
Now the name given to the cursor one we call explicit cursor. We also call it SQL cursor.
SQL cursor.
Yeah.
Okay.
The most recent implicit cursor is known as SQL cursor.
Can you repeat the statement?
Yeah, yeah, just a second. Hello? Hello, that's it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, the thing, the most recent implicit cursor is known as SQL cursor.
So the most implicit cursor
The most recent implicit cursor is known as SQL cursor in PLSQL.
okay. Okay.
Okay. Now there are four attributes that implicit cursor has. I'll be writing it down here so that you can see what these are.
Yeah.
Because these four attributes are very important. You have to pay attention to this. The first one is percentage found.
Okay.
Okay. The next is percentage is open.
Okay.
Then is percentage not found. and then we have percentage row count. All these should be in uppercase, all of these. I've written it just this. Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So now I'll explain what these are. First is percentage found.
Okay.
Okay. So this returns true if your insert, update or delete statement has affected one or more rows.
Uh,
I'll repeat
can you
again.
get this?
This returns
Yeah.
true if your insert, update or delete statement
This returns to
true if your insert, update or delete statement
ignorance.
what? Should I write it down here?
No, okay.
I missed one thing. Not just this. The select into statement, which we saw, right? Select something into some other variable. That is how we retrieve
Yeah.
data. So
Yeah.
yeah. So if any of these four affects any of the rows in the table, then this percentage found returns true.
Okay.
If no rows are affected, then it returns false.
Okay.
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 Now, for implicit cursor, is open will always return false.
Always returns false.
Always returns false. Why? Because Oracle closes the SQL cursor automatically after executing the SQL statement.
Okay. So it Oracle closes the cursors.
Yeah. So actually, is open checks whether your cursor is open or closed.
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah,
Yeah.
am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so is open checks whether your cursor is open or closed. Okay? So in case of
Yeah.
implicit cursors, it will always return false because Oracle closes it automatically after the execution of the SQL statement.
Okay.
Okay? In case of
Yeah.
explicit, it's different, but we'll come to that later on when we study about explicit cursors.
Sure. Okay.
Okay? Now we'll go to not found.
Okay.
Now, not found is exactly opposite to that of percentage found.
Okay.
So this will return false if any of the statements are executed, affected, and it will return true if none of the rows were affected by these operations.
Okay.
Okay. The last one is percentage row count. This returns the number of rows affected by these operations.
This returns.
The number of rows affected by these operations.
Okay.
by these insert, update, delete, or select into operations.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are the attributes. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So we've finished one more chapter. So let's take a lunch break and then we'll go into control statements where we'll study about if, then else, then we'll study about cases, then we'll study about different loops. Okay.
Okay.
So let's have a
And
lunch.
this is the third chapter.
This was the third chapter according to the content that has been shared to you.
Okay.
Okay. There is one small topic left, but let's go for lunch and then we'll come back and finish that. The control statement. I've
Yeah.
already shown. Let's just complete that as well. See, I've already shown commit here, right?
Right.
So this is a part of the control statement.
Yeah.
Okay. You can similarly have a rollback as well or save point as well, like you have in SQL.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, by this we finished the third chapter. Let's meet after lunch and then we'll continue with the
Okay.
fourth chapter. So should we meet around 2:30?
Okay. Sure. Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks. Hi, Nidhi. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, Nidhi.
Yeah, yeah, hi, sir.
Sorry, I'm late actually.
That's okay, not okay. So I got a call from the G-Labs team that you're not able to see the course content.
Yep.
Yeah, so I just went to the website. It's there, right? See, this is the course content.
Uh-huh.
So
Can
we,
you can you can you just ping me the link in the chat box?
yeah.
They don't have a document or what?
No, actually, they asked me to prepare a document and send. They have it all online. They don't usually send the documents like this. They send the link. If you want the document, it can be sent, but if you need it,
Mm, yeah, I can able to see.
if you're not able to access this, I'll ask them to send you a document.
I think I'm good. I can able to access.
What?
I can able to access now.
Okay.
The link is accessible. I just need a document for this.
Okay, you need the document. It's in a document
Yeah,
format. Okay, I'll ask them
yeah,
to
yeah.
send it. I'll ask them to send
Okay, I'm getting a call from Z Labs. Can you just give me 2 minutes?
it. Sure, sure, sure.
Bismillah.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we have covered these topics. We've covered introduction, declaring variables, executing executable statements, Oracle server interaction.
Ah,
Now we have to go to control structures.
okay. So the Oracle server interaction is what?
Yes, this we have already completed, right? We just did SQL statements, select statement, retrieving data, manipulating. But these things we did.
Merging rows.
Hmm? Okay, merging I left. It's the same as insert, delete, and update. Do you want me to give an example of it? Like we write merge statement in SQL, it's the same within the begin block. No difference.
Okay.
It's the same.
No, in SQL I didn't try the merging option. I don't know the merging option.
Okay, okay. There is a merge statement. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you the syntax of it. So, like suppose we have two tables and we have to merge the data of it. Like in case of any match or if it's matching, it will update. If it's not matching, it will insert.
Okay.
Okay, let me give you an example how it's written. So, if I declare and any variable some data type. Now this is the syntax. Merge into. I need to create another table for it. So I'm assuming that there is, suppose there is another table. Okay.
Okay.
Table 2. Okay, and I'm giving some alias to that table. Okay. Using which table I'm using, like from which table I am merging the data.
Okay.
Okay. Let's say this is table 1.
Okay.
On, this on will give you the condition.
Yeah.
So let's say table 1 dot, suppose there is some ID, employee ID or student ID, whatever the ID. Dot ID is equal to b underscore ID. So whenever this is true, you have to merge.
Okay.
Okay. Then comes when matched then. So whenever there is a match, then what you have to do? Then you have to update.
Okay.
Okay, I can do whatever I have to. Suppose some table 2 dot suppose this name becomes table 1 dot name. Okay, and similarly, I can have multiple things changed here. First name, last name, middle name, whatever I have to change. Okay. Then comes when not matched, then you have to insert. Okay. So I'll just explain this.
Yeah.
So what it will do is it's saying merge into table 2 using table 1 wherever table 1 is ID is same as this ID.
Okay.
Okay. So it will check if this ID is matching with this ID. Then when matched, then whatever name is present in table 2, change that name to that of table 1.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And when it's not matching, when the IDs are not matching, then insert another value to it.
Okay.
So this would be table 1 dot name. Okay. So whatever ID is present, whatever name is present corresponding to that ID in table 1, add that to table 2.
Okay.
Okay, this is merging.
Then insert a value to the table. It should be insert should be table 2.
Insert value of this. This value is inserting into table 2.
Okay. No, merge into table 2. So
Yes, merge into
when it
table
is
2.
not matched, the insert values should be happen on table 1 or table 2.
This insert is happening on table 2 only, but the value that is getting inserted is that of table 1.
Okay. That well, table 1 dot 1. So the whatever table 1 dot name is there, it
Ah,
will be inserted to table 2 dot name. Is that
exactly,
correct?
exactly.
Okay. The concept I understood. I don't know whether this will work. I mean, how does it work?
Now this works exactly in the same way, provided you have some entries in table 2 and some entries in table 1. And there should be one,
Table 1.
then there should be one column which is same. Like this is also ID, table 1 should also have a column of ID, table 2 should also have a column of ID. Not ID typically, one column should match.
Okay.
Only then merge is possible.
Yeah, when these two are matched, update because we are merging into table 2.
Yeah.
That means table 1. So we are getting the table 1 value. So when it is not matched, then insert values
Hmm.
from table 1.
Yeah. I just mentioned one value. You'll have to add all the values. So it will be comma and
Yeah.
the rest of the columns.
So the entire record you want to say.
If you don't want to add anything, you can just write comma null for that column.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Uh, yeah, yeah. So this entire line is one statement, or we should put semicolon next to update statement.
No, no, this entire thing is one statement. This,
Okay. Now since we have a gap when there is not match
no, no,
before
I gave a gap just to distinguish between it. But otherwise, it's the
okay.
same sentence.
Okay. Okay. Let me just note on this.
Yeah, sure.
On. Yeah, and then
Okay.
okay.
So now, if you see this, all these topics have been covered. This naming convention is nothing but, like I told you, that it should not be same similar to that of a table name or a column name, and which is given more preference. It's just that.
Okay.
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 We have done. Now we go to the control statement, the control structure.
Okay.
Okay. If you allow.
Just 2 minutes.
Sure.
Neelam, can you give me 2 minutes? 2 minutes of time.
Sure.
Yes, Mama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's start with control structures then.
Okay.
So why do we need a control structure in the first place? Whenever you're performing some operation based on some conditions, you want to change the logical execution or the logical flow of the execution. I mean flow of the logical execution. Then you use a control structure. Okay.
Okay.
First one which we talk about is the if statement.
Okay.
So if statement is used whenever you want to perform some operation based on a condition. You check if the statement is true, then perform this operation. If it's not true, then don't perform.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how does if work? The syntax is if, then some condition, and then use the keyword then, and then some statement. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is how if works. This condition could be any condition. It could be a Boolean variable or expression which would return a true, false, or null.
Okay.
Okay. If it's true, only then this statement will be executed. If it's false, the statement will not be executed.
Okay.
Okay. And secondly, multiple lines of statement. It need not be just one statement. You can have multiple lines of statement here. Okay.
Okay.
By the end of it, we have to write end if. If we don't write end if, all the statements will be executed till it finds end if. So we have to mention where the if block ends.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's see an example. First, we'll talk about a simple if statement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So what I'm doing here is I define the variable of type number and I give it the value of 10. Now inside begin, I'm checking if that number is greater than 6, then do this. Otherwise, okay, let's just end here. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we execute this, it should print this is inside if block.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's printing this is inside if block.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is what if does. If this condition returns true, only then the next set of statements are executed.
Okay.
Okay. This type of where only one condition is present, this is called a simple if block.
Okay.
Okay. If I add another condition to it, like and id um, less than 5, sorry, less than 9. It's greater than 6, but it's less than 9. Then execute this. Now let's see. Okay, let's first remove this. Yeah, let's see. Now no output is present. It executed properly. The PL-SQL procedure is successfully completed. So it was executed properly, but there was no output because both the conditions were not met.
Right. So
Only
there is
one,
end output.
yes, only one was met and the other one was false.
Yeah.
Since I used and in between, a false, a true and a false would result in a false.
Yeah.
So this statement was not executed. Now this type of if block where there are more than one conditions, here there are two conditions, right? These type of if
Right.
blocks are called compound if blocks.
Oh.
You can note it down if you want.
Then.
The first one with only one condition is simple if block. with more than one condition, it is compound if. Compound if statement. That is.
Single condition. Simple English.
Simple if statement.
More than one. It's a compound.
Yes. Yes. Compound.
Yeah. And that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now suppose I want to write a statement where if this is executed, then if this statement is true, then execute this. But if this is not true, then I want something else to be executed.
Yeah.
Okay, in that case, I need to add something here and have to add one else.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
and then after else, whatever I have to write. Okay,
Okay.
so now if we execute this, this should be the output because this condition is not met. This is coming as false.
Yeah.
Okay, this is an else block.
Yeah.
So this means it is executing in this block.
Yeah.
How did the flow went? It checked whether this condition is met. This condition was false in this case, so it went to the else part. And whatever was present in else part, without any checking of any other condition, it just executed. It did not check for any condition. It just
Yeah.
executed whatever was present in else. I can have more than one statements here. It need not be just one, and it need not be just output. I can have SQL statements or anything.
Okay.
Okay, so both the statements will be executed.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
Okay.
And then.
Yeah. So this is when there is one condition to be checked, and if that is not met, that is not true, then execute some other block without checking any
Yeah.
other condition.
Neelam, can we have a small example for the
Sure.
else
Sure.
state?
For else statement,
Yeah, for else because it's running. I mean, it's executing two statements. It's printing two statements. Yeah.
yeah, so that is what I said. Till it encounters end if, It will execute all the statements in else.
Okay.
I can
this
have.
is clear.
Huh?
The purpose, like for example.
Okay, let's take another example. Okay, let's add in one more discount also.
Should be v underscore amount.
Oh yeah. My bad. Yeah. Okay. So what happened here? I declared two variables. One was amount, the other one was discount. Now I'm checking if the amount is greater than 100, then I'm giving a 10% discount. Otherwise, the discount is 5%.
Yeah.
Okay. So since amount was less than 100, so it executed this block.
Yeah.
Correct? Now what I was saying previously, I can have multiple statements here.
Right.
Okay, not just one. And
Right.
all those statements will be executed till it finds end if. So all those statements will be considered under else block till it finds
Yeah.
end if.
Yeah.
Similarly, if block also I can have more than one statement here. But none of them will be executed because this statement is false.
Right.
Understood?
Correct.
Now is it clear or should I explain again?
Can we have one more statement under else?
Under else.
Yeah.
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 Fine. So first this was printed and then this.
Okay. So this way we can use multiple statements in else.
What?
No. In this way we can use multiple statements under else.
Yes, we can use multiple statements under if also. Okay, let's check
Right.
that. Let's just,
As long as the
okay.
yeah.
So now since it's still going in else, it will not print this statement.
Yeah.
But suppose I change the condition and make it less than 100. Then let's see. Okay. I have to change this. Yeah. Now it is going in the if block.
Yeah.
Then the discount is also changed.
Right.
Okay. So I can have multiple statements here.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
No, give me a second.
I didn't get you what?
No, give me a second. I'm noting that.
Sure, sure, no problem.
Okay.
So now in this case, what happens? If the if condition is not met, it is not checking for any other condition to execute the else statement. Correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
But what if we want something like, okay, if it's not greater than 100, don't do this, but check if it's at least less than uh, 80.
Yeah.
Or, check whether it's less than 200. Any statement,
Correct.
any logical statement, okay? And then
Okay.
only execute these statements. Don't just blindly execute if this statement is false. Check again if this is some other statement, is other condition is true or not, and only then execute this.
Right.
Okay, in that case, there is another thing called if.
And see.
ELX, IF. There is no E in between.
Okay.
Okay. After else if, again you will have to give a condition. The amount is what is it? 96. Let's make if 100. And the amount is um, greater than 80.
And are making this not embedded. What happens is, yeah, all the members of this class have as a primary. Compounded value means the formation. So we have executable, extended, it has the number ICM, that's the value chain, that's value chain, yeah, embedded language. How do you make it embedded language? Because making it embedded. There are three requirements of making it not embedded.
Yes, one sec.
Yeah.
That entire object body very better to see the code and all. The body what I'm trying to do.
Yes, ma'am. I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. So now if I run this,
So there are two important aspects. Embeddable class, embeddable class. And secondly,
yeah. So now it is entering this block, but only after checking this condition. If I mark it as less than 80, my amount is 90, so it should not enter this block. So discount should be 0. So if I click that, see the discount is 0. None of the other statements were executed, not even this statement. Okay? So it checked for another condition, even though it was not working.
Yeah.
So this is not necessary that you have to just need to have one if and then another else if. You can have multiple else if. Okay. And along with this combination of if and else if, you can also have one else. So if none of the statements work, then this if else will work.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Without checking any condition.
Okay.
Jacket, just give me a minute. Just a minute.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, Neema.
Yeah. So, okay, understood else if.
Right, understood.
And we can have multiple blocks. Okay, multiple else if or multiple conditions. Okay. Even after else if, we can also have in the last, we can also have in the end, we can have else block, which will, if none of the conditions meet, that block will execute all the statements within that block without checking any condition.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was about if. Now there is another way of performing operation based on condition, that is case.
Case.
Okay, case expression.
Yeah.
Let me remove this.
Case when.
Yeah, case. Now, what happens in cases? It checks if this case is what the user wants, then execute the statement. If this is the case, and we can have multiple cases, and it will check whichever case is suitable for the user or whatever case is matching, that statement will execute.
Okay.
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 Let's see an example.
Okay.
Let's see the same example with
Yeah.
case.
ID you can see here. Similarly, you can write all the stuff here. We need to create the ID of subject.
So what we are doing here, we have two variables, amount and discount. Now we are checking, this is the syntax. We write the keyword case, then we use the keyword when. So when this is the statement, if this is true, then execute this, else execute this. Okay, and then end case. So since this is true, amount should be, the discount should come as 10% discount, which will be total 9. Okay, so I give it inside single quote, so this is displaying me that. Okay. Yeah, so it's 10% discount, so it becomes 10. So 10% of 100 is 10, right? So the discount is 10. Since this was true, so it executed this. If I just reverse this, sorry, not 50, 5% discount. It's giving me 5. Okay. Again, like we saw in if and else, if this condition is not met, it is executing the else part without checking for any other condition. Correct. So again, we can have another case also. This is one case. We can have another case for the same thing.
One more then.
Huh?
No, we can have one more then.
Yeah, we can have one more when and then.
Yes.
Okay, we can have multiple of those when, how much ever you want.
So maybe this is just like if else if. But is there any major difference between
No,
case
no, no.
one and
People usually wonder, when to use if and when to use case. It's actually, there's no difference. It's a personal preference. Whichever you are comfortable with, you can use. There is no difference between, there is no performance difference or any other difference of any sort.
so even in the performance there is no difference.
No, so it's just like you are having two options. You can choose from any of them.
Okay. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, hello? Hello?
Okay. Hello? Yes.
Hmm. Okay?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So this was about
I'm done with
cases.
this.
Yeah, okay. So this was about cases. Okay?
Okay.
Now we will go to uh, okay, before we go to for loop, just give me a minute, just give me a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before we go to loops, we are going to handling of null. Okay. What happens if there is a null? What happens if in these conditions, like in if condition or in case condition, a null occurs?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So a null will always result in a null.
Yes.
Okay. So null is considered to be false. So if this condition is null, then the corresponding statement will not be executed. So it's similar to false. If it's null, then the statements will be not executed. And it will not be executed. Okay.
Still confused with this.
Okay, yeah, that's it. Okay. Suppose uh, I'm saying that one of this is null. Suppose instead of 100, this is null.
Okay.
Okay. And there is, say, another um, right. Okay. Now here I'm checking if then the amount is not equal to the price. Okay. So if we see B amount is actually not equal to B price. They are different. So according to that logic, this statement should have been executed. Correct?
Sorry.
B amount is not equal to B price. B price is 5 and B amount is null. So according to
Right.
that logic, this statement should have been executed. Correct?
So the first one, yeah, will not be
Yeah,
executed.
according to that logic, this statement is true.
Right.
Okay? This statement
Not
is
equal.
true. So according to the logic of case, this
First one.
statement should have been executed.
Correct.
Correct? But
Correct.
let's make this right? Since B amount is anyway null. Okay. So instead of 5, let's say it's 100. Calculation becomes easy. So now, according to the logic of case, the output should be 10% discount, which means 10.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
But when we execute, it's coming 5.
Okay.
So that means this was not executed. This was considered as false. Now, why did that happen? Because any comparison with null results in a null.
Okay.
Okay. So whenever the condition becomes null, then the statement is not executed. Even though if you see by logic, B amount is not equal to B price. This is true.
Yeah.
But since one of them was null, the result also becomes null. Okay?
Null is not.
Any operation on null is null. Suppose I do B amount plus B price. That will also result in a null. It will not be 100. It will be null.
Right. 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 Null plus null, null into null.
Yeah. It's all null.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, not just in case of case, in case of if also, if the condition comes out to be null, the statement is not executed.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Fine. So this was about the null handling. You have to be very careful about null. If the condition becomes null, even if you think that it is coming true, but since it is coming null, your statement is not executed.
Okay.
Now we'll quickly go through the logic tables as well because whenever we talk about if or cases, there will be a lot of and, or, not, and null usage.
Yes.
So we just quickly revise it anyway. I am sure that you know all this, but we just quickly go through it. So if it's and, okay, when we're using and, then if there is one statement which is true and another statement which is true, then the result will also be true. Correct?
Correct.
When one of the statement is false and the other one is true, result will be false. Okay? And if any of the statement is null, be it null and false, or null and true, or null and null, it will always be null.
Okay.
Okay? Right?
Okay.
Then we use the or.
Okay.
In case of or, if any one statement is true, then
Yes. Yes.
that will also be.
Yes.
So if there is null and okay, let's see that. So this is one statement. If I say or, price uh, greater than 90. Okay. So now what do you think should be the answer?
Null or true.
None or
It
true.
will be yes.
Hmm?
Yes.
So null or true results in a true.
Okay.
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 So with or, if either of them is true, the other one be it true, false, or null. If either one is true, then the result will also be true.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
In case of not, if it's true, it will become false. If it's false, it will become true. And if it's null, it will remain null.
Okay.
Okay? So these are the uh, of logic table with Boolean conditions.
Okay.
Now we go to iterative control of loop. So when do we need to? When we have to do a particular task again and again in a repetitive way.
Yeah.
Then we need something called loop.
Yes.
Okay. So there are three types of loops here in PL-SQL. The first one is basic loop. Second one is for loop. And the third one is while loop.
Basic part
Basic, for, and while.
and yeah.
Let's go with the basic loop first. So basic loop is the simplest loop. Okay. How does it start? Numbers here. Okay. So here what we do, we declare a number whose value is 10. Now, with this keyword loop, the loop begins. And says display this number and increase it by 1 every time. And exit only when minimum is greater than 15. So how will the condition, how will the execution flow begin? It will start from here. It is 10. When it enters the loop, it will first print to 10. Okay. Then it is changing the value of bnum to bnum plus 1. Bnum is currently 10. So now it becomes 10 plus 1, 11. Then it checks if bnum is greater than 15. It is not. It is 11. It is still less than 15. So it will again go into loop at this statement. It will print 11. Then it will again go to this statement. Now it will, what will be the value of bnum? 11 plus 1, 12. It will again check if it's greater than 15. It's still not greater than 15, so it will again go back to the statement and print 12. Similarly, this will continue till it becomes 15. The moment this becomes 15, it will check if it's greater than 15. The condition will not be met, so it will come out of the loop. Okay, that's the transition. This is the output 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay. So when the VNum became greater than 15, then it came out of the loop.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
The loop was executed till the statement was true. I mean, till the statement was false. As soon as this statement became true, it came out of the loop.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the basic loop. You just use the keyword loop, and then to come out of the loop, you use exit well.
Yeah.
And then you have to end the loop. Okay. So this is the basic loop. You just use the keyword loop, and then to come out of the loop, you use exit well. And then you have to end the loop. 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 And then you have to
devices, like somebody else is also doing the
Okay, okay. Just a second.
same.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's fine.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So this was basic loop. Now we know about while loop.
Okay.
So you use a while loop when you are not sure how many times you will execute the loop.
Okay.
And there is a possibility that the loop may not even execute once.
Okay.
Okay, we see the examples, but this is when you use while loop.
Okay.
So let's see an example. I'll use the same example for while also. Okay, so this is what we'll do. We have a while keyword, and after that we're giving the condition. So while this number is less than 20, execute these statements in a loop. As soon as this becomes 20, greater than 20, then it will come out of it. Okay, let's see what it says. So it's printing me 10 to 19. Okay, as soon as it became, as soon as this became 20, now it's checking if 20 is less than 20.
Yeah.
Since it's not, that is why it is not displaying here. So what is the difference between while and basic, apart from the syntax?
Condition is placed in the beginning.
Yeah, so
First it,
because of the placement of condition, it is first checked and then executed. While for basic,
yeah.
it was first executed and then checked.
Yeah.
So in basic, what happens? It has to execute at least once.
Yeah.
Then it will check the condition, and if it is not true, then it won't go for the loop, it will come out of the loop.
Right.
But for while, it may not execute even once because it is checking condition in the beginning.
Yeah.
I'll explain the same thing with, I'll explain this with the same example. Suppose I have enum greater than 20. Okay. Now if I execute this, it should not print me anything, correct?
Right.
Yeah, it is not printing me anything. See, it is blank.
Yeah.
But if the same thing I have as loop, okay, if it's as loop, and I have exit when enum greater than 20. Yeah. Okay. So having this statement is same as while enum is greater than 20. I'm saying exit if it's less than 20.
Yeah.
It's the same as having do this while it is greater than 20.
Yeah.
Correct? But see, now if I execute it, it will print me 10.
Yeah.
Okay. So it first executed the statement and then checked the condition. So it has to execute at least once. Correct?
Yes.
But in case of while, the condition is not met, it won't execute. So there is a chance that in while it won't execute even once.
Yeah.
So you understood the difference between while and basic loop?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And when do you use while? When you are not sure how many times you want the loop to continue. You just have a condition.
Yeah.
As many times the condition is fulfilled, keep moving.
Right.
Okay. Suppose you know that I have a fixed number of times and I want to execute the statement for a fixed number of times. In that case, you use for loop. Okay. I'll explain what for loop is. Let me give an example. Explain. Instead of while, I have for. Okay. And instead of this, it will be for in. There's a keyword called in. And then I have to give a range from where it will start till where do you want it to continue. If it's starting from 10, then you give 2 dots, okay, and then the end of the range, which is 20. Okay, and since it is for loop, you don't need to give this plus 1. It is already incrementing it by 1. So this statement means till vnum is in this range, 10 to 20. Start with 10. Okay, this is the starting of the range. Start with 10, execute this line, and then automatically increment it by 1. Then again check if it's out of this range. Since it's 11, it is still in this range.
Yeah.
Okay. So if it keeps continuing, it will automatically keep increasing the value by 1. So if I execute this, it will give me 1 to 20. After 20, it is becoming 21. So it is out of the range that I've provided.
Yeah.
So that is why it won't execute the statements below. Okay?
So in the same example, let's say in the same range, 10 to 20,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to print the VNum for 5 times. Let's say the increment should happen for 2, not for plus 1. It
Yes,
should happen for 2.
in that case, I can give it like this.
Okay.
This is what you want, right?
Yeah. And now it becomes 12 instead of 11, even in the range.
Okay, if you want to increase it by 2, I can change it. Okay, okay, yeah. Yeah. So I cannot change it. I'll have to write it in. Write it in my output section. So I'll have to write it with my Vinam plus 2. So it will start with 12.
I think this won't work when there is a calculation need
What?
to be done on V number.
What? What?
No. This logic
Mhm.
where so between 10 to 20 range we are just printing the even numbers like adding plus 2. So
Yeah.
this will print 10, 12, 14, 16. Yeah, this understood. But when there is a range and if I want to have a calculation based on the plus 2 added.
So in that case, you can check for the, see, in that case, suppose you have to find the even numbers. Let's say you have to find the even numbers in the loop, in this range.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Then what you can do is, I can assign another variable and store that number in it, and then use it.
Okay.
I can do
So
Vinum
without,
plus 2 and store it in some other variable every time.
no,
Okay, I
what is
cannot,
the out,
yeah,
what is
yeah.
the output of this? The current code. What is the output of this?
So this will, so starting from 12 and then it is staying till 1 to 22.
This is not adding 2 plus 2.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me check. So the first time I did, it was 10. So what it did was 10 plus 2. Yeah, but then it is not changing the number. That is the problem. I can display the next time it went, it is incrementing by 1 only because VNum is still 10. This is only for display. It will give me plus 2 of 11 then. So it will give me 13. The next time it has become 12, it will give me 12 plus 2. So it will give me 14. You understand what I'm saying?
Can we see the output?
Yeah. So what happened? The first time it was 10. So it printed 10 plus 2. It gave me 12.
Yeah.
Then it went back to the loop and it became 11 because the number hasn't been changed.
Correct.
So now it is doing 11 plus 2, which is 13. Then again it is going at 12. So it is giving 12 plus 2, which is 14.
Even if we put plus 2, it is not actually
So it won't
working.
change the actual number. It won't change the actual number. If you want it to be in a loop, I can again place it. What I mean is, like, if you want again it to increment it by 2 or something, you can have another loop or another if statement or some other manipulation, not directly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like even if you have to check for even number, you can have if mod of vnum is mod of vnum by vnum and 2 is 0, then it is even. But it is not actually changing the vnum. It is just checking if the mod of vnum and 2 is 0 or not. If it's 0, then it is even. If not, it is odd.
Okay.
Okay, but the vnum value will not change.
So we can't do that perform. I mean, we can't perform that in the for loop because
No,
it
no, no,
increases
no.
with only
You,
one.
you can perform that in for loop, but not in one step. You cannot change the value.
Yeah.
You can perform anything in for loop, but you'll have to write a program for it. You cannot change the value of it.
Okay. Now to get only the even numbers, you have to write additional code. You need to say.
Yes. You will have to write here if check if then mod of element 0, then do this. Only this is what you want to say.
Yeah, it's again crossing the range 12, 10
Yeah,
to 20.
yeah, that is crossing because I inside the loop I'm doing this. Vnum plus 2. Let's remove this. Okay. Now let's just delete this. I was doing vnum plus 2, that is fine. I do this. Now it is in the range. Now it is giving me all the even numbers.
Okay. Fine.
Okay.
Yeah. If this mode actually
What
comes
is the
in
function?
functions. It comes in function.
Yeah. There are some inbuilt functions which is present in PL-SQL which you can use.
Okay. This one.
Okay. So now
Okay.
you have noticed this increments only +1 all the time automatically. What if I have to do -1? What if I have 20 to 10?
Okay.
Okay. So I cannot have 20 to 10. What I can have is I can use the keyword revert. Right? Reverts here. Let me remove this. Now if I do this, it should be in the reverse order. So it started with 20 and then went to 10.
Yeah.
Is it clear?
Yes. The order becomes reverse.
Yes, the order becomes reversed.
So we put 10 to 20, it takes 20 to 10,
Yeah,
and then returns.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So this was for
Yeah.
loop. Now you can have nested loops also. Like inside this, like in, suppose I ask you to find the prime number from 1 to 10. So what does the prime number mean? If I'm saying from 1 to 10, you will check that that number is divisible by just itself and no other number.
Yeah.
Correct?
Correct.
So again, I need a loop inside the loop. First of all, I have a loop so that I can check numbers from 1 to 10. Then I need another loop so that I can divide each number by all the numbers.
Yeah.
Correct?
Correct.
So that means I need a loop inside a loop.
Yeah.
So this is called a nested loop.
Okay.
Okay? If I need another loop, I can have it anywhere I want. I can have it for some other number or any variable or any variable, whatever condition you have to give or in whatever range you have to give. whatever it is. Okay, and then I can perform some operations. Okay. Now, the basic problem that will occur is while ending the loop. Okay, because the loop is a keyword. So every time I have for, I have to use the keyword loop. So suppose I have 3 or 4 for loops. In this for loop, I have another for loop. Inside that for loop, I have another for loop. And inside that also, I have another loop, another for loop. So that means there will be 4 keyword loop used. And each time, I have to use end loop.
Yeah.
Okay. So the PL-SQL developer will understand that which loop are you ending based on, like, suppose I have, let's say, I had one for loop. Okay. Inside that, I had another for loop. Inside that, I had another for loop. And yet another for loop. Okay. So now when I write end loop, I wrote it here. End loop will first end this loop, this for loop.
Yeah.
Then when I write end loop, it will end this for loop. Okay. Similarly, this third for loop will be for the second for loop. And finally, this end loop will be for this for loop. Okay. So the developer will understand, but as a programmer or if someone else is using your code, it is very confusing for him to see this.
Yeah.
Correct? So there is the concept of labels. Okay? How do you write that? After for and before loop, okay, use this and give it a label. Okay. Then by ending it, I can give label. This would say that this outer loop means this outer loop. So this loop is ending here. Similarly, I can have label for all the loops. I can have another label. Okay. So while ending it, I can say that I'm ending. Okay. Instead of this, you can write it here as well. Okay. Similarly, for all the loops, I can have labels. While ending it, I can mention the label.
The label is just to indicate that this loop belongs to this path.
Yes, yes. Just to indicate that this is the loop. So whenever someone sees, okay, this outer loop is ending. There's some loop which is named as the label is outer loop, which is ending. So we'll check which is that loop which has the same label. So we'll understand that this loop is ending.
Okay.
So it becomes easy for the programmer to see it. Okay. One way is this, you end it like this. You can also, when suppose in the basic loop statement, how do you write it? How do you write the basic loop? For from everywhere. It starts with loop only, right? And then it ends with exit when, correct?
Yeah.
So I can have exit. Which loop do I want to exit? I can simply write it like this. Exit outer loop when. Okay?
Okay.
So this would mean I'm exiting outer loop.
So
I'm sorry, your voice was good.
when it comes to the fourth loop,
Hmm.
so when it comes to the fourth loop, it exits from all the loops.
When it comes to the fourth loop, this
Yeah.
your voice is breaking. Can you please repeat? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, can you please repeat?
No, no. So when it comes to fourth loop, since exit outer loop is written there, so it will
Come out of all
end
the loop.
from all.
Yes.
come out of all the loops. Yeah.
Okay. Before that, I can write separately also exit second loop or exit third loop. Okay. So this will end only the third loop. Okay. This is clear.
Yeah.
Right? So these are called labels. So with this, we have completed our control structures also. Okay, we have covered all the topics. So we have completed our control structures. Now I am forwarding you few assignments. Okay, just a second. Okay, I have texted Arman via both. We will forward you an assignment. Okay, we forward you two assignments. I'll show the assignment here itself. What are these assignments? The first assignment would be this. Okay. This is based on if and while and for. Okay.
Yeah.
Second assignment. This is just so that you can practice. Just very few questions,
Yeah.
but it will give you a clear idea. Actually, do this first. This is based on the third chapter to how to fetch data, how to insert, how to update, how to delete.
Okay.
Okay. You already have the script, so you run that table first before doing these things, because these things would require the table to be created. After that, solve this assignment first. It's wrongly marked. This is 2 and this is 1. So do the second one first and then do the first one.
Okay. Second one, you want me to do it first, and then
Yeah,
first.
second one is for the, it's up to you actually, you can solve any of those. The first one is for the fourth chapter, that is the control structures. It has questions for if, else and cases and for and while loop. And the second assignment is for the DML operations on database using PL-SQL.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the scripts, you like all at a time. I can run the scripts.
Yeah, see, since it's a PDF that you must have got, you just copy everything, paste in your PLSQL
Yeah.
developer and run it. Like, or control A, select all and then run all of it together.
Yeah. So that it runs in one time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So tomorrow we will cover 3 chapters. That was my target tomorrow. We'll cover composite data types, explicit cursor and handling exceptions. So that we are left with only 4 chapters and we are still left with 2 more days.
Okay.
Okay.
So tomorrow composite data types.
Composite data types,
and
explicit cursors and handling exceptions.
okay. That is Wednesday.
Huh? Hello?
That is Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah. So we will be covering the advanced PLSQL concepts
Yes.
also, right?
Yeah. Half of it will be covered in composite data types. In fact, 90% of it will be covered in composite data types itself. Like
Okay.
this PLSQL records.
Okay.
I'll cover everything there.
Okay.
Okay, let's see you tomorrow.
Okay. I have a question.
Yeah, correct.
So tomorrow, basically, is it possible for tomorrow to have a classroom training? Is it possible for you?
It would be a bit difficult for me, Doctor, because since it's the entire day, I don't go to the GLAB Learning Center to teach because I'm also working somewhere, right? So I usually take work from home
Okay.
and I do some work and then take a session and then in the breaks I do the rest of the work. It would be difficult for me to go there and do it.
Okay. Okay.
You're
No,
coming
I
there
understand.
tomorrow.
I didn't. I didn't want it actually. That is the reason I have chosen online training.
Uh-huh.
But to do the payment, maybe I have to visit tomorrow. And then again, I have to
You can transfer
do
online, right? And you have to visit the center.
there is a payment issue actually. They don't accept credit cards
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
all.
Yeah, yeah. They don't have the credit card, but you can transfer it online. As in,
No, actually, I can transfer when I have an amount in my account. But
uh-huh.
I wanted to do a transaction through my credit card. That is the problem. If I have the cash in my account, then I can do a transfer.
Okay, okay. Yeah, credit
But
card would be a bit of problem for them. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you are doing it with check, is it?
that's all. So they didn't confirm the payment mode yet. I'm still waiting for them to
Okay, okay.
tell me.
Yeah,
But
yeah. If it's
in the
check, then
first,
you will have to travel a lot. You live in Yelahanka, right?
yeah, that is a major problem for me. But
Mm-hmm.
since this is the issue with the institute and with me, so I have to go there if there is no chance. So I thought we can have a classroom training. But still, okay, no issue.
Maybe,
We'll complete the
maybe
session
this
tomorrow.
is a suggestion. It's up to you. But maybe you can, transfer to one of their, like, what do you call that? One of their
No, they are
accounts.
not. They are not sure actually with the account, and even I don't want to take a risk.
Okay,
Even
then it's better you give a check only.
yeah,
It will be safe for you
and
as
even to give the check, I have to visit the
well.
visit
Yeah,
the
yeah.
office. The problem is tomorrow I have a medical checkup in the evening, so I have to
Oh,
go and come back. It's not possible. Let's see how can I